Josh, really good to have you. Thank you so much for coming on.
Thanks so much. It's great to be here.
Yeah. So you're coming in as the new CEO of Avant Gardner and Brooklyn Mirage, and the whole kind of business over there. How's everything going so far?
Well, it's been an absolutely incredible ride. I've been CEO for a little over 4 months now, and every single day it's just like an explosively creative and dynamic day. But both good and bad sometimes. There's always something interesting that's happening, and if you look at a career or a life, I think that's probably the measure of something successful and interesting is, do you wake up motivated, inspired, maybe a little bit fearful, every day. So you're on your toes. Like, to me, that's the definition of a good role to be in. So I'm very, very happy, to have found this company and to be able to work with the great team here.
What's your background? Where did you come from?
Yeah, well, from California originally. Actually, I grew up in Marin County, which, for those who may know, has an incredible music provenance. It's really, it's where the Grateful Dead came from, and Jefferson Airplane and Carlos Santana, and all some of these incredible acts from the '60s, '70s, and into the '80s. So I grew up in really like surrounded by music, and um, grew up in a beautiful place, and then made my way around the world. Traveled a lot when I was younger. I've lived in probably like 6 countries, 3 continents: South America, Europe, and the US. And have really picked up a string of various experiences that I think when you add them all together, hopefully make it a pretty good fit for the place in life that I find myself now.
Awesome. Did you know, just kind of in the weeds, like, did you know the team? Like, how did this opportunity come about?
Yeah, how did you find Avant Gardner? I mean, I guess Avant Gardner found me a little bit. I have a background in hospitality, culture, and events. And if you were to look at like a narrative thread in my career or the connective tissue of my career, it's around building communities that
Mm,
are inspired and attracted to culture and to a sense of feeling. So, starting out after business school, I co-founded a company called Generator, which at the time, was sort of a small idea, but ended up becoming the world's largest design and experience-driven youth hostel business. Ironically, I was the first um, person to bring Boiler Room on the road. At the time, they were in East London, and they were really just streaming out of East London back in, like, I don't know, 2011 or something like that, 2010, and maybe 2011. And we met them and actually convinced them to go to Berlin and shoot a Boiler Room out of Generator Berlin. So, sort of touching culture and being a part of these creative dynamic brands has always been a narrative thread in my own career. And I've moved on as I've aged a bit. Over the years, I've tried to do things that are interesting to me at that time. And so going from hostels to luxury hotels, and then into member clubs, and then running a museum concept called Fotografiska, which was based out of Stockholm and had a big presence in New York. And that also had um, touch points of culture, art, and nightlife. We ran a really incredible members club and nightclub called Chapel Bar in New York that had some extraordinary up and coming DJs performing there. So I think that prepped me for this.
hmm.
I was lucky enough to meet the main investor in the company, and we shared a lot of interesting ideas and developed a good relationship there. So he decided to bring me on board.
Got it. Who is that again?
Can't actually disclose who the investor is, but
Oh, okay.
um, it is a fund,
Oh, cool.
and a fund that has a lot of experience in investing in live music and entertainment. So, they're a great partner and thought leader to me. I learned from them. They've added a ton of value in helping not only me, but the founder of Avant Gardner, Billy Bildstein,
Yeah, okay.
who is
Yeah,
the
yeah.
founder and creative director of the company. So with Billy and the investor and now myself, I think that makes like a really good triangle of skill sets and perspectives and experience to help build, I think, what should be really the best in class company in the space.
Got it. Got it. I guess in my head, I was initially thinking that it was Billy. Cool to know that there's another kind of person behind the scenes. So Billy's still very much a part of the operation, is what it sounds like.
Well, he's the creative director of the company, so
Cool.
from day to day, he's not part of the company day to day, nor does he want to be. I think he has these incredible ambitions and vision around the creative aspects of the business and the creative aspects of show production. And there are very few people in the world that can do what he does. And we're really blessed to have him, there as a guiding force or a guiding light behind this vision. I really view myself in a lot of ways as like almost like a music or a movie producer, where I'm taking the business side, the strategy side, the culture side of the company, and then taking the founder's vision and really working with him, and other people to deliver on that. So, it's funny. I
Yeah.
was at an event the other night. I was at an
Oh,
event
go
the
ahead.
other night. And
Yeah.
I was wearing these big glasses. They're very like producer style glasses. Someone came up to me and they had no clue who I was, but they're like, who are you? Nice to meet you. You look like a big movie producer. And I sort of laughed. I'm like, well, I don't know about that, but I definitely am running around producing something. So yeah, it's quite interesting.
Interesting. Yeah, so Billy was like was Avant Gardner and Brooklyn Mirage, was this a that was his brainchild, right? To put these incredible venues out there in Brooklyn. And I guess we should I want to hear like the kind of origin story to, I know obviously it's not Billy on the pod, so you would just be kind of speaking through Billy, but correct me if I'm wrong if it was Billy. And why don't you also just kind of describe the venues? I mean, I guess I hopped in assuming everyone like knows the spaces. I've been there a few times, and obviously I had the pleasure to work with y'all throughout the years with Prism, which deeply appreciate that. But it is just a alien like environment. It's such a incredible. Like I don't think there's a venue that's like it, and it feels very much like a little a little like cut of Burning Man just out there in Brooklyn. And like the economics behind it are like really really wild. Like I think one of the innovative parts of Brooklyn Mirage and Avant Gardner is just like how impressive it is that y'all like make it work and the state of the art equipment. But anyway, here I am talking about just how like insanely cool the venue is. So I'll pass it to you. Could you tell like what was it, Billy, and what was the founding story, and like explain the venues too? Why don't we start there with the venues and then how it all came about?
Sure. Well, I mean, why don't we start with the origin story because it really
Cool.
tells,
Yeah.
it tells the or creates the path to where the company is today and what is it. So yeah, so Billy 10 years ago, actually, the first show within the avant-garde universe or ecosystem, the first show of City Fox was July of 2015. So actually the 10-year anniversary of the company is coming up. We're going to be doing a lot of stuff around that. But the initial founding vision, which Billy is the founder, the initial founding vision of the company was really to create this like roving, rotating platform for music experience. And if you think about the name Avant Gardner and what does that stand for, it's something that I think really encapsulates what this company is, which is a platform for creativity, platform for music expression, and a platform for developing and going on a journey with artists and guests over the course of an evolution of a career. So, what does that actually mean for the campus? So, the way that Avant Gardner is set up, there are three venues in this very large footprint in East Williamsburg. And when you step sight on what we call it, sort of called like a campus, when you step on site, a lot of different things can happen at different times at night and or within different types of genres. And so the first venue we have is called King's Hall, which is about 800 person capacity. That's where you can do different types of music and with different levels of genres and DJs. And then you start to move through the experience. You go on to Great Hall, which is 3,400 capacity. And that is a indoor space as well, similar to King's Hall, only bigger. And there you can experiment with a lot of different types of music, types of events that happen. The capacity of the space is significantly larger than the King's Hall, not only in terms of people, but just in terms of the physical capacity, the floor to ceiling height. So you can do lot of different types of shows there in terms of production capability and rigging and whatnot. And then the sort of the pièce de résistance, if you will, is walking out of Great Hall into the Mirage. And
Yep.
the Mirage is an outdoor structure, and we'll talk about what's happening to that
Oh yeah.
later on in the pod. But the previous version of the Mirage, when it was first created by Billy, was really this ever moving, ever sort of mix of outdoor music experience. Very much Burning Man, or festival like in the middle of Brooklyn. And that was what made it so amazing was, you're in an industrial warehouse district of Brooklyn in New York City. Like you would not expect to see these huge green trees and, all this just wild juxtaposition of art and culture and music wrapped around train tracks, industrial warehouses, waste management facilities, etc. So,
Yeah, being in
credit to
there is
Billy.
awe-inspiring for the record. Like it's insane. It's
Yeah,
so cool.
it
Yeah,
it's insane. It's completely insane. Like you get, I always say like, as a hospitality founder or operator or entrepreneur, whether you're doing hotels or restaurants or music venues or member clubs or museums, like if you get a tingle down your spine when you walk in as the guest or as the owner or as the operator, like you've done your job. And
absolutely. Well put. Well
you
put.
you get I mean, I think you get more than tingles down your spine when you walk in the
Yeah,
garage. Like you're getting like a whole body sensation when you walk in, like the vibrational effect of what Billy and the team had created there is truly extraordinary. Like I maybe there's one or two other moments in my life where I've experienced that type of joy and awe, frankly, in an entertainment scenario. So, that has been how the company has existed for the last decade, which is these two indoor sites and then the outdoor Mirage. But the whole purpose of the Mirage and the reason why Billy named it that way, and frankly, it's the reason why I took the job, uh, is the Mirage has changed and they evolve. And, depending on your
love
frame of
that.
mind or your frame
Yeah,
of
yeah.
reference, a Mirage can be a truly ever evolving thing. And so if you think about what a creative company should be, it should be a company that's always pushing the boundaries of whatever it's trying to do. And there are many entertainment companies or experience companies out there that just from a structural perspective can't push the boundaries because they're in a box and that box is fixed and it can't change because someone's built, 100 or $200 million box.
Hmm.
I get that. Like, it's not a criticism. It's just a reality. The Mirage is built to change. And so every 3 years, more or less, it changes. And so we are about to announce shortly the new Mirage, which, will be going out into the mainstream press in the next couple of weeks. And that will be, another evolution of what the Mirage is. And it's really it's going to be an extraordinary moment and a moment that we're all working really hard towards as we get going.
Got it. Got it. Yeah, and just to be clear, I think this we're going to time the podcast to come out after that announcement. So yeah, like what can you say about the new Mirage and like what are the big kind of changes coming? Yeah.
We the way that we think about experience now is it's a multi-hyphenate need of a guest. And so, yes, I mean, going to a show is always an amazing thing. I was at the Great Hall last night, quite late, and we had Tiesto play. He played a 3-hour set. It's an incredible set. And the actual show
Wow.
production, the quality of the music was all world class. Um, However, that said, and I was only there for 3 hours, so it was like pretty straight up, like straight up evening. But the Mirage was really built for a multi-hour experience. Like a lot of people go there and they're spending 6 to 8 hours at the Mirage. We have a lot of events that last sometimes for 12 to 18 hours. So, you're there and you're going through a lot of different things, emotionally, creatively, physically while you're there. And therefore building it, we wanted to like really honor that. And therefore we went into the laboratory and came out with this venue that we're calling, really something almost like an electronic opera house, where you go in and you're not really sure what you're going to see because there's a lot of mystery behind the walls. There's mystery behind the curtains. But when those curtains open, magic is going to happen. And that magic and that change, that ever changing moment on the stage is something that we're going to be delivering. Again, it's actually never been done before. So
Oh
we're
my,
either
that's exciting.
we're either incredibly visionary, or we are definitely down a big creek without a paddle. I'm not sure, but I'm gonna go on the side of, I think we are visionary. Credit to Billy and
Well,
the
I don't think you
designs.
can be up creek without a paddle when going for something visionary. Not everyone up creek with a
Yeah,
paddle ends up arriving at
yeah, I
something
mean,
visionary, but it's like it's a paradox, right? For sure.
yeah, yeah. So we're coming out with this new venue that will have, a slightly larger capacity, but more importantly, just a
Wow.
much better and more interesting set of sight lines. Uh, Production value will continue to be the best certainly the best in the United States, and I think in the top, five venues in the world. We have certain venues that we look at that we're inspired by in Ibiza, and some other
Oh,
areas. So
cool.
I think we're
Cool.
on that same level. And
I
yeah,
had
I
like
mean
the
it's
sphere pop out in my head when you were talking about that. Have you been to the sphere?
yeah, to the Anima show,
Oh, cool.
which is extraordinary. I went there, 3 or 4 weeks ago. It was a completely extraordinary show. It's interesting. I think, electronic music in the sphere is an experience. It's definitely a full body experience. The way that you're consuming the show,
Oh yeah.
the show is coming in the sphere. The show is coming at you,
Yeah.
and it's undeniable that what you are experiencing is unique in the world. Okay, like nothing like that exists. That's
Yeah.
so all respect to that. But that is an at you experience versus what we think we're creating at the Mirage is going to be an enveloping with you experience.
Whoa.
And that
Cool.
with you experience is what I think creates the emotion and that spine tingle. So again, it's just apples and oranges. Like it will be a different experience. Now, invariably they'll say, oh, it's like the sphere on the East Coast, which I'm not
Oh,
sure if we're going to
interesting.
say,
Okay. Yeah, yeah.
I'm not sure if I'm going to be, I'm not sure if that's, a compliment or lack of understanding. Cause we don't think about it that way. We're not saying, hey, we want to create something like that. We are our own unique path, and we wanted to create something that we felt would be extremely distinct.
Interesting. And what's the cap? You said slightly bigger than the Mirage.
Yes, I can't disclose that yet either, but
Okay. 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 Fair enough.
slightly bigger. But one of the reason why we made it bigger, and I hope people listening to this genuinely believe me. The reason why we made it bigger was not a money grab, right? So there's a lot of
Yeah.
cynicism in the
Yeah.
fan base in the industry. I mean, there's cynicism towards, some of these big clubs. They're obviously, and I'm happy to talk about, some of the reputational challenges that Avant Gardner and Mirage has had. But, there's some cynicism towards these club owners, um, where they say, hey, the club owners are packing the club because they have to make money, or they want to make money. They're greedy, right? Um, it's, maybe that's true in some areas, but quite often the case it's actually just not true. Club owners want a good owner wants their club to last for a long time. They want it to be safe, right? They want the fans to come back. And if you make poor decisions around fan experience, they won't come back. So, we through, I think, some unfair criticism, quite frankly, of the company or the venue, Um, but also some fair feedback around how the Mirage was designed in terms of fan flow. We really studied that and came up with solutions for the fan flow. So we want more room to dance. Yes, there are going to be more people, but the way that we've designed it, it's a better place to dance. It's a better place to go on a side quest. Like if you want to exit out of the main experience and say, hey, I want to take a breather, I'm tired from dancing, or I've been here for 4 hours and like, you know,
Yeah.
I'm a little bit tired, or hey, the trip is just beginning. Maybe I just need a little bit of a breather, whatever. But you need
And
to
by
be able to plug in. You need to be able to plug in and plug out. So we've designed these spaces to be able to do that, and
insane, cool. I can't wait.
I think it's gonna be cool.
What's the open date?
May 1st.
Oh, May 1st. Okay, cool.
So we're opening. So this has been announced. We are opening with two sold out shows with Sara Landry. So that's fantastic. She's obviously iconic, and I think it's a great artist to open with because of the like deep credibility that she brings, and just her music. Her music style is just very defined, right? And it's very like specific point of view. So it's great.
Love that. Love that. And by the way, that's when you said side quest, it made me remember that that's like one of my favorite things to do when I'm at the venue. Like there's like it sounds like you're gonna level this up even more, but even in the old rendition of Brooklyn Mirage, like the side quest opportunities were abundant and really special.
Opportunities. Now, I mean, look, it's interesting. Like, what does a side quest even mean? In rave culture. But again, that's the beauty of what this company I think has always done really a great job at. And we're doubling down on that. Is like you have to give all walks of life the opportunity to explore and to find their own pocket of creativity. Like I'll give you a funny anecdote from last night. From last night. I was at Tiesto and I was walking around the dance floor. Like I like to go around all different areas of the dance floor and just sort of see like what's happening, from perspective of different fans and different customers. And you can get different points of view depending on where you're standing and who you're standing with. So I was I was up in backstage, with Tiesto in the beginning part of the night to welcome him, and then walked down in general admission and like really felt the dance floor, and then walked up to the table service area, and then I was walking back down into the dance floor, and I see these three kids in the back of the Great Hall doing yoga, and I was like, that's amazing. More of that, please. Like why not? You want to live your best life doing yoga at 2:30 in the morning to Tiesto? Go for it, right? But that ability to express yourself, and that ability to like really enjoy what you're doing and just say, look, like I'm here to dance, or I'm here to meet people, or I'm here to just be my own best self. Like we welcome you, we welcome that, and that's what we're trying to provide for people.
I could go all podcast with just talking about like the future of the venue. I think you touched on it. I do think we should kind of talk a little bit about what happened, some of the bad press, Izu, and obviously like a part of some feedback that y'all got, some criticism, some feedback. It's a part of like why you came on as CEO and to kind of revitalize the brand and take the good and leave the bad, and take the feedback and usher this thing into the next era. So like and by the way, I was really inspired. One of the reasons why I reached out to do this pod is I love the letter that you put from the CEO letter you put out there. And I'll read some of them, like some of the things you're focusing on. Room to dance, as you touched here, enhanced sound quality, venue and staff security, enhanced hospitality, arrival and drop off, cell phone coverage, neighborhood safety. Like I think, this is amazing, and like you've started a bunch of companies, and like I think a lot of people want to get caught up on like the mistakes folks have made, but it's like when you're doing something as unbelievable as like getting tens of thousands of people into and creating a micro city, and which is what a Brooklyn Mirage is, and especially Izu, like mistakes get made, and ideas don't go well all the time when you're trying a lot of ideas. And like, yeah, I think the best thing that you can do is adapt. And that, that letter that you sent to the community really showed me that y'all were adapting. But yeah, like, and, I think, just from talking to you before the pod, you said you had an interest in just like talking openly about some of the challenges. So like, why don't we start there? Like, what, obviously you weren't here, but like, what's going on with EZoo and like, and what were some of the challenges with the venue and yeah, what are you, yeah, I'll just, there you go.
Really, I think big picture or from a blanket statement, I always say, I have 3 children. I always say this to my children, and I would say the same
Same, by the way.
to, I would say the same to like, just people in their careers, or companies. It's like, it's okay to make mistakes. It's okay to fail, but the biggest mistake you can make is if you take those mistakes or failure and you don't learn from them and you don't grow from them. And I think, if I were to give some constructive criticism to the company, I think the mistakes that the company made or was making or even makes today still a bit, instead of like sort of looking at and saying, okay, hey, like we failed in this area or we're subpar, like, but we now know and like we can get to a good solution here by doing this and this. Um, that was just sort of slow to happen and or non-existent in a couple of cases, and that's why they
Yeah.
brought on CEO, to just give some structure and credibility around addressing those issues. So let's start with the EZoo and then we'll go to the company. So what happened with EZoo? Look, I wasn't there. I joined the company recently. I still probably will never know everything about EZoo, but the fallout from EZoo was that fans didn't get reimbursed initially for their tickets because some of them couldn't get into the show. Vendors didn't get paid, and there was a lack of communication with various parties, right? So when I came in, the first thing I did is I solved those issues. So we got fans
Awesome.
repaid.
Awesome.
Now we repaid all the fans. There's some fans that didn't get repaid because they didn't follow the rules or they filed, credit card requests, which then if you do that, the problem with doing that is actually any company this happens, you end up basically giving your rights away. So there still remain, some people that didn't get refunds through technicalities, which, again, we tried to reach out. We say, look, we've given, Jungle, we did this huge end of the season show this year in 2024 for fans and gave the opportunity to have free tickets for people who have been to EZoo or to the venue, so we've tried to do the right thing there.
And by the way, thanks for being authentic too about the tacticalities. Like you could have just swept that under the rug. So, I think it's incredible that you're owning that, but yeah.
Yeah. I mean, what else are we going to do? It's like, it happened. I mean, we can't run away from it. So vendors, there were probably 87 vendors that weren't paid. So I went through personally each and every one of them. I called and said, look, like we're going to try to make it right with you. It may not be exactly what you want, but we're going to get to an agreement. So we settled with, I think, 85 out of 87 vendors and got them paid. There are a couple vendors that remain, I think, not in touch with reality. But that's okay, but I mean, I think 85 out of 87 is a good track record there. And frankly, half of those vendors we're doing business with today in Avant Gardner. So
word,
there's
that's a good,
a lot of,
for sure. Yeah. Anything to say about like the remaining? It's like maybe what's the nutshell there? You don't have to kind of with the remaining two. They just they had a different perception of like damages or something like that, and like want to go above and beyond.
A different perception of reality. And again, it is what it is. I mean, my view is like if you're honest, you say, look, this is what we can do, and then you negotiate and you get to a settlement. 99 out of 100 times, believe me, it's always better to settle than like let it go to court. But
and in this case, 85 out of 87, close to 99 out of 100.
Yeah,
so
it's pretty good. It's pretty good. And then on the communication side, the company just hadn't communicated around EZoo and they hadn't communicated around the mistakes. And so we've done, obviously the CEO letter was an important step, but we've done a lot more than that. We've actively engaged with the press where the company really previously had never done that. I turned on the social media responses, meaning, we respond to comments that are reasonable and accurate. There are a lot of inaccurate, we all know the internet or social media, like you can sort of say whatever the
Totally.
hell you want,
Totally.
whether or not it's true,
Yeah.
I mean, look, look at,
Oh, yeah.
look at,
Anyone who's done
look at
anything has
Elon Musk.
experienced someone just being
Yeah.
like, "Oh, you did this." It's like, okay, I'm not even gonna engage with this. Like, that's like,
Yeah.
and then it's endless, right? Like any
There's,
troll on the
look,
internet. Yeah.
yeah, I mean, if there's like a genuine, authentic comment that is true and accurate, we respond to it, positive or negative. And if there's just something that is fundamentally not true, we're not going to get into that type of debate. But we owned up to any mistakes, and obviously, the CEO letter sort of encapsulates what I believed, and I personally researched all this as well. I didn't farm it out to anyone. It's pretty easy to research it. Like just go on Instagram or TikTok or Reddit, and you can see the fan response. And then, I mystery shopped the venue, and experienced it for myself. And like most of those negative comments, were accurate. Like the security, it's actually very safe there, but the way that some security experiences are deployed doesn't always feel the most welcoming. They're definitely, with all the food trucks that were lined up right outside, that brought like lack of sight lines into the venue so people can hide behind it and do various things. It's unsanitary. Like there's a whole bunch of stuff that was really within our power to control, to fix. We did all that. um and then these other changes that we mentioned about getting better Wi-Fi or cell phone coverage, and Uber, Lyft drop off, in improving lighting and maps around the neighborhood. Those things take time, but I think we're on track to have everything ready by May 1st. I
And
mean, most of it. I think there's one or two things just from a legal permitting perspective might take a couple more months, but for the most part, like we've delivered on all those promises. And why not? Why wouldn't we? Like it
yeah,
wasn't that hard to deliver on. I mean,
and
yes, it just takes discipline, but it wasn't that hard.
yeah, and Josh, something that I want to say in regards to that, like it's something that's coming through for me as we're talking about this. Like, I think it's cool that some of what you're addressing in there, like more space to dance, and having the security, yeah, the security improvements you mentioned, like I would say is kind of responding to some more of the like heavy-handed feedback, and in a time of strife, like I think some people might just kind of address like the lowest hanging fruit, if you will. But the fact that you also had things in there like cell phone coverage, I thought is like, hey, like we're not only gonna like whatever, like clean up the obvious messes. Like we're also still gonna strive to the future of making this thing better and better and better. And like we're also coming out with this incredible new venue and we're not stopping innovating. And I think that's just a beautiful message to the world. Like I think with my own business, there's like, times where you're facing something and it's like an inflection point in front of you and like, yeah, you want to be responsible and look that in the eye, but then you also want to like look beyond to the future. And I think I'm noticing that as a in the background of your messaging here around like, hey, yeah, like the venue like had some serious stuff that we need to do, but like outside of like fixing the serious stuff, we're still striving for like more and more innovation into the future. And I think that's just really inspiring and gives me like a lot of hope for the future of the venue.
I think I think you have to have this like XY axis of, hospitality and fan experience that maybe isn't along the lines of innovation, but it's just, you're getting Maslow's hierarchy of guest needs solved. What do you
Yes.
want when you go to any venue?
Yes.
Right? It's like I want to be able to arrive to the venue in a very clear and easy way with no stress. I want to feel safe. I want to get through the entrance in an easy and fast way so I'm not wasting my time waiting around. I want to be able to experience the event in a fun and cheerful way that gives me joy. I want to be able to have a great drink. I want to be able, if God forbid, if something goes wrong, I want to be able to be taken care of quickly and effectively. These are like basic needs. It hasn't, it's not innovative. It's just basic hospitality needs. So those we've definitely improved in the last 6 months. But we're, by May when we get the Mirage open, we will really nail, again, probably 90% of it. And then over the season, we'll layer in the remaining ones. Um, and then the innovation side of things with the new Mirage and what you're going to see, I mean, that's just a really important, I mean, again, that's one of the reasons why I joined the company. Like it's just really
Yeah.
important, I think, to always innovate. So yeah, we're really excited about things. And I think, again, sometimes you can make like the big movements of change, i.e., hey, we're doing new Mirage, that's big. Then the small stuff is, it's the small things that also matter, because the small things can build up into big things if you don't take care of them. So, I went through like all the comments like, hey, what do we ban? Right. By way of example. And and a lot of people don't understand why we ban things. Like I'm not going to bore the listener here with like, why do we ban, gum by way of example? Well, there's a reason for that. It's not that we're trying to have this draconian environment, but there's safety issues around certain things. However, that said, we did go a little bit overboard. So when I'm seeing that, like Pikachus are banned or hula hoops are banned, I'm like, okay, we can unban Pikachu. Um, you know, so
Wait, like the stuffed animal Pikachu or
yeah,
the
yeah.
game?
Stuffed animals, Pikachu, stuffed animals are banned. But I've unbanned them.
You brought Pikachu back. That's I love that. That's amazing. Cool. I love what you were saying there, and yeah, it's funny. Like I feel like businesses go through these cycles, and at Prism we've been talking about Maslow's hierarchy of needs quite a bit, and like I think the parable of Maslow's hierarchy of needs is like you want to take care of the base, but like don't forget there's like self actualization at the top and all these things as well. So I think y'all are demonstrating that quite beautifully, and I love that analogy. How fans receive this? Is there I mean, it's so hard to like, as you were saying, like you can't just look at the internet trolls and assume that like they are the speaker box for the overall base. But do you feel like you have a sense of like if folks are, if trust has been rebuilt, or is there still some kind of trust rebuilding happening? Like, has there been some people that have like come around? And yeah, what's your view on all that? Yeah.
The short answer is I think it's a great question, and I would love to be able to sit here, 6 months in, with the stuff that we've done and sort of pat myself on the back and be like, hey, we've done a really good job of doing this or that. Um, I don't know yet. And so
Yeah. Word.
my instinct is to stick with the program. The program that we have is to really focus on the details and to focus on getting the Mirage open May 1st with the best possible series of solutions and the best team. If we can do that and we stick to the program of discipline, like what we're doing in the plan, we won't nail it all, but we'll be much better. I'm a big tennis player, and I think about, you look at the best tennis players in the world, like they get to be the best not only because of talent, but because they stick to like a training program, a nutrition program, and you can really see them like evolve over time, oftentimes from like young kids, to like fully fledged major tennis players because they stick to the program. Or weightlifting, like, when I work out, like I'm, older, so I can't do the crazy like marathon running that I used to do. But I lift weights quite a bit. And like, if you just stick to like a plan in weightlifting, I'm not like bodybuilding, like probably that, but I mean, I like to lift weights. I lift weights 4 days a week. And,
That's good.
if you
Yeah.
do it consistently, you can see the change, over
Yeah.
12, 16
I love
weeks,
that. I love that.
and,
Yeah.
and so we're doing the same thing, where again, we're not there yet. So I think we're on the right track. I think we're the right program, but May 1st will be a big test, and it probably really would be like June 15th, like we'll test it, we'll see what's working. And then then we'll get there. It'll be interesting.
Yeah, and the world's not so binary. I think it's okay. Maybe you won some trust back now, but it's like it's what about the next 7 years, right? Like it's like every single time you have a great show, like it's gonna just you're just gonna keep doing your thing and sticking to the plan. So I love the way that you think about it. How much do you think about? We only got a few minutes left, so I wanted to just ask about like how the venue is ran and whatnot. Like what kind of staff is beneath the scene at the venue, and how many staffs you have, and like what kind of tools are y'all using, and like what's your what's your tech setup like? Let's get out of the muck. Yeah, thank you very much. I think you gave a very thorough answer. Like, how do you make a venue like Brooklyn Mirage like run super smoothly? Yeah.
It's an incredible lift by the operational team. I mean, there's a lot. I mean, like before the show starts, there are, not less than probably 85 people that on the programming side, on the artist relations side, on the production side, on the technical teams, and on the hospitality teams that are making that show a reality. It's super stressful. It's a lot of work. Um, these wonderful men and women are working like crazy hours under physically like challenging conditions. Like a lot of this is outside in the Mirage, and it's just like hot, cold, whatever. It's not an easy job. You have to really love music and nightlife, and I think that is a common thread among our staff. Like they love the industry. So it's a pretty fun job, even though it's a stressful one. And then you have the company flexes up to like almost 500 people in peak season. So you have, an immense amount of part-time seasonal staff that come on board, whether it's, security, medical, hospitality, additional production staff, whatever. So it's a very, very big moving parts, but it's a testimony to the leadership and the operational team. Jermaine Santiago is our head of operations. He's been in the industry forever. And he really knows what he's doing. And the team that works for him are consummate professionals, and they're doing it under a lot of stress. Last night I left the venue at I think like 3:15 in the morning or something, and it's like they had another hour and a half to go, right? And then they got to wind down, wrap up the night. Like they're getting home at 6 in the morning, maybe even later sometimes. And like that's a hard 6. That's not an easy 6. Like there's you get last night we had I don't know 2,500 people maybe in the Great Hall, which is pretty much close to capacity. And that's a lot of people dancing. It's a lot of people drinking. It's a lot of people, who knows what. It's stressful, and
Hmm.
I really tip my hat to the team that, has been able to build that operational magic.
Yep. Interesting. What tools does your team use? Like, obviously, I'm on the tech side of things. Like, we appreciate that you use Prism, but you use Prism. And what are the things that you use, and like, how's that all going for you?
Look, I mean, Prism's been a great partner for us, and I think with all the solutions that we've worked with, the goal is we've gone through like again our own internal work to really try to maximize our relationships and try to double down on those. So um, previously, I'd say like some of the decisions of the company were made sort of ad hoc, and now we're getting much more disciplined. And those providers or collaborators like yourselves, like that's one big component part to the success of our company. So I thank you for that. Um, Billfold,
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
another
I love
example.
Billfold. Yeah. Yeah. How's
And
Billfold going? Y'all are still going deep with Billfold?
we're very very much very much entwined with them. And then on the ticketing side, Dice is our ticketing agent, which has been with the company, I think for like 5 years, maybe.
Yep.
Maybe a little bit shorter, but so we're trying to partner and use great systems, and we'll continue obviously to always try to evolve there.
I'm just remembering this. Didn't y'all acquire a venue as well? Am I remembering this correctly? Or a promoter. You acquired a promoter.
We have made events.
Got it.
So we have internal IP. So we have Electric Zoo. We have Sunday School, which was back in its time was a really well known Sunday party, which actually was in Miami and up here. We that went on the shelf. That's coming off the shelf. So we're gonna actually that will be announced soon. We had another IP called Morgana, which we're announcing back. Sort of bringing that back, and then we partnered with 3 or 4 really significant global external IPs. Elro, obviously, like we've already announced that show for this year, but we have a couple new ones that we're
Cool.
unveiling that I think will probably maybe not blow everyone's mind, but it's going to blow the industry's mind. Like, industry is going to be like, what? That's crazy.
Cool stuff
So
coming. Yeah.
those are coming. Those are going to be announced probably in the next 3 to 4 weeks as well. And then we have the first ever Mirage residency, which we're announcing in early March, which will be, I think, probably the most significant residency in electronic music in New York City in the history of the city. And that's going
Woo!
to be announced the first week of March.
Oh my God.
And
I love that.
never really been done before in New York. And certainly, obviously, there's residencies in Ibiza, Miami, and Vegas and whatnot. But the way that we're doing this is going to be, I think, quite astounding. And we're super excited about that one. So that one's dropping about a month from now.
Cool. Well, let's end with one more question. Like, let's zoom out of all the weeds. Like, what's your big kind of 10-year vision for 10-year vision or hope for the venue, or I should say the campus, and your company, and then yeah, what's the big hope for the industry as a whole?
10 years, that's a long time in this industry. But I think, for the next foreseeable future, our goal is to be the most innovative, forward thinking, live and electronic music venue in the United States, and really create that best in class experience. That's our first goal. I think our second goal is to create a culture platform and an entertainment platform that can travel. So whether that's light IP travel, meaning like we take Mirage or Avant Gardner on the road through pop-ups, or collaborations, uh, or we physically grow, to another site in another city. That's certainly an ambition. But I think the bigger picture creative vision is to actually have like this art activation, music activation as a platform. So to go beyond
Interesting.
four
Oh,
walls, I think is really important. Like beyond the four walls of the campus is important, and to amplify that out is a key goal of ours. Not only me as CEO, but the founder, creative director, and the board. We're all aligned in that vision.
interesting. I feel like we could spend a whole other podcast on what that entails, but maybe come back in a couple of years when it's coming to life and we
Yeah.
can talk about it. Hey man, thank you for your time. Really interesting to see the story and to get the inside take, and really appreciate it. And again, thank you for the partnership over the years, and good luck in the future. Yeah.
Thank you. I really appreciate it. Thank you for the time. It's been great.
Yeah.